2021, an article questioned the U.S. trade war with China and the $12 billion in emergency aid that was proposed to help American farmers. In fact, the piece proposed alternatives for what that money could buy. Suggestions included funding the Corporation for Public Broadcasting for almost 3 decades, while it was also suggested every man, woman, and child in America could be handed $37.42, while other media outlets suggested that the money proposed for the border wall could also buy 7,500 miles of new roads and fund college for nearly 400,000 American students. Or that money could buy an aircraft carrier, but not just any aircraft carrier. At $12 billion, the U.S. Navy's USS Gerald R. Ford, CVN-78, is the most expensive warship ever built, and when factoring in the aircraft it comes out to around $18.5 billion. In addition to being the most expensive warship, it is also considered the most capable in the world, despite the fact that it has had some problems with its toilet system. The Ford class is the first new design for an aircraft carrier since USS Nimitz, CVN-68, which was developed in the 1960s. During its design and development, shipbuilders ensured that every inch of the ship was accounted for, and this actually helped save the Navy a projected $4 billion in ownership costs over the carrier's 50-year lifespan. Moreover, the Ford class was designed to be equipped with 2 newly designed reactors, which provide 250% more electrical capacity than previous carriers. That has allowed the ship to load weapons and launch aircraft faster than ever before. The warship also was developed to incorporate many technological advancements to ensure that it will be the most capable and efficient carrier in service anywhere in the world.
It's a deafening sound. The roar of a fighter jet miles off the East Coast.
57,000-pound aircraft from 0 to about 160 miles an hour in about 2.5 seconds.
From the pilots to the flight deck crew.
This has included replacing the legacy steam-powered systems with electric drive components, ensuring that there is a long time between maintenance schedules, and notably improved survivability thanks to better hull design, firefighting systems, and weapons storage. Additionally, as a not-so-small floating city, the Ford class of carriers have been designed with new quality-of-life enhancements that include improved berthing compartments, better and more well-equipped gyms and fitness centers, and more ergonomic workspaces. Working out a few bugs. New electronic elevators were also specifically engineered and built for the Ford class, and these were intended to massively step up the pace and strength of the carrier air attack. However, the elevators haven't performed as promised, and it could be until late next year or even into 2022 before the elevators are finished. Additionally, Ford has continued to deal with a plumbing issue related to its toilet system, and it has reportedly cost $400,000 to unclog the system. The new class of carriers was also designed to address the fact that more women serve on Navy vessels. As a result, USS Gerald R. Ford became the first aircraft carrier not to feature urinals in the gender-neutral bathrooms on the ship. The Navy's decision was to increase flexibility when it comes to shifting berthing arrangements for the crew, but critics have noted a number of issues, from the fact that fewer than 18% of all the sailors in the Navy are women, and each toilet takes up more precious space than wall-mounted urinals. Another issue has been with the ship's new electromagnetic aircraft launch system, EMALS, underperformed due to a fault in the power supply system. EMALS was developed to replace the steam catapult system that has been used on the U.S. Navy's Nimitz-class carriers. The fault in the electrical system curtailed flight operations on the ship for several days during its sea trials in July 2020, while the crew along with contractors worked to identify the issue. However, these and other issues should all be sorted out in time for the vessel's 2024 deployment, and then it can be finally determined if that $12 billion was well spent or not. Swap M out. The ship is modular, too. Smaller pieces are assembled elsewhere and then sent to the shipyard to be added to the carrier. This way, when it comes time to upgrade the ship, these modular pieces can be easily swapped out, and that coveted newer tech can be plugged right in. Of course, there were some more down-to-earth renovations, too. Elevators have been moved so bombs and missiles wouldn't need to be carted from one side of the ship to the other. The location of the island, that's the ship's command center, has shifted, too, reducing the need to rearrange aircraft after landing. And here's what it adds up to: Ford-class carriers will be able to deploy 25% more planes than a Nimitz-class carrier. The Ford design is so efficient and automated, in fact, that it will require a crew of just 4,550, including ship, air wing, and staff, as compared to the 5,500-person crews aboard Nimitz-class ships. And the improvements don't stop there. Weight in gold. Assembling an aircraft carrier takes, well, a lot. The heaviest component of the USS Gerald R. Ford, the gallery deck-to-flight deck bridge, weighs in at 1,131 tons, that's 2.26 million pounds. The upper bow unit and lower bow unit, meanwhile, are 868 and 750 tons, respectively. Fortunately, Newport News Shipbuilding has a 1,157-ton crane to lift everything into place. Of course, you need more than just a crane to get the job done. You need serious manpower, too. It takes roughly 5,000 people to build and assemble a Ford-class carrier. But that's not all. The USS Gerald R. Ford requires 4 million pounds of metal just to weld the ship together. And you can't just leave it looking all rusty. When it's done, the ship needs to be painted, too. It takes 200,000 gallons of paint to cover the ship, and between 120 and 170 painters. Even the anchor of the USS Gerald R. Ford gets coated with paint. The anchor's special gold color shows that the ship's crew re-enlisted. High-end assassins. According to the U.S. Navy, Ford-class ships can carry more than 75 planes, and maybe up to 90, picked from a wide assortment of aircraft, including the Boeing F/-18E F Super Hornet, EA-18G Growler, C-2 Greyhound, and E-2 Hawkeye, along with Sikorsky SH-60 Seahawk helicopters and unmanned drones. But the carrier's defenses don't end above decks. The ship comes loaded with a supply of RIM-162 Evolved Sea Sparrow missiles, and 2 launchers, to protect it and its crew against enemy aircraft and incoming missiles. Built by Raytheon, these medium-range surface-to-air missiles measure 12 feet long, have an 83-pound warhead, and cost just under $1 million each. Ford-class ships will also be able to fire smaller RIM-116 rolling airframe missiles, just like the Nimitz-class ships preceding it. Despite their slower speed and smaller size, they measure 9 feet, 2 inches long with a 24-pound, 15-ounce warhead. These homing missiles are also priced just under $1 million. These missiles are designed to shoot down incoming enemy missiles before they can strike the ship.